Hello, everyone. I'm back today, and I'm here to talk about Dream Scenario starring Nicolas Cage because I need to get some things off my mind about this film. So before I start, of course, do all this stuff that you have to do. I don't know. Anyways, oops, I clicked that off. I'm gonna turn back on. Okay. So this film is what I like to call Jordan Peterson as Nic Cage, or Nic Cage as Jordan Peterson. And of course, the movie's actually called Dream Scenario. This movie introduces us to the main character, Paul, who is played by Nic Cage. Now, Paul is a pretty unremarkable professor who studies evolutionary biology. Now, at the start of the movie, he's featured in his daughter's dream and is just kind of standing there as she gets sucked up by like aliens or some, space laser. And then, of course, we learn that it was just a dream. And then he runs into his ex-wife, or not ex-wife, sorry, his ex-girlfriend, my bad, who says she also saw him just standing around in his dream. In her dream. He was standing around in her dream. Then it turns out that a bunch of people he doesn't even know are also having dreams of him just standing around. And before he knows it, the whole world is having dreams of him standing around in their dreams. Or at least most of the world that we know that kind of comes into play here is having these dreams. Right? Even overseas, we hear about people in France having these dreams, etc., etc. Now, they know it's him thanks to his ex-girlfriend who he realized had dreams about this, who also is a psychologist who published an article about him in her dreams, thinking it was some sort of like, oh, you need to resolve some resolve feelings, right? Something like that. So he takes this about as well as anybody would. After some trepidation, he does multiple news interviews and really enjoys becoming the center of meme culture. The one note I do have to make, though, is that Julianne Nicholson is probably the least expressive actress ever. And she, of course, plays Paul's wife. Now, there's nothing against her. Maybe this is a writing aid, this is whatever, but I just feel like she expresses no emotion when, it's kind of like you're trying to guess whether or not she's happy or sad. So that was something which was disappointing. Anyways, he's now a meme and is now seen as a super cool dude, and he wants to be, he wants his book about ants to get published, right? So he tries to use his newfound fame to try to get a publisher interested. There's a bunch of other things that happened before this. I just don't really care about any of it. So he visits a company called Thought and meets, personally, I think the most interesting character in this, which is Molly, played by Dylan Gelula. I butchered that name 100%, so I apologize for that. And they are in the elevator going up to this meeting, and she tells him about the weird dreams that he's been having. So up until this point, everyone has just had dreams of him, doing some, just standing around as things happen, right? And they're just kind of like, why is he here? So it's kind of cool, right? Now, these are different dreams because you're not just standing around. Now, we don't learn about them right away. First, we have to meet the CEO of Thoughts, who is Trent, played by Michael Cera, and Paul hates this meeting because apparently making a ton of money off meme culture is a bad thing now. So he gets very angry that they promise him like Sprite commercials. He just wants to write his book about ants. So long story short, up to this point, my eyes are kind of closing because not just because it was 10 a.m., but also because nothing of note actually happened. Now, the second half gets a little more interesting, right? Because Paul cheats on his wife with Molly, or kind of cheats. I mean, I don't even know. Is it? Let's just pretend for the sake of the thing that what they do is cheating. Although, the intent is cheating. The act maybe is a little bit more farting than anything. And if you don't get that, then you have to watch the movie. So, because they basically reenact the dream which he's having that she has with him, right? Because in their dream they have sex, and so she wants to reenact it because she's weird. Anyways, now this incident leads to all the dreams that other people have of him becoming him assaulting and harming them instead of just observing them being assaulted and harmed, right? Now, this is a very interesting turning point because, you kind of start getting interested. You're like, what's happening here? This is a very cool kind of thing where I'd love to know why this is happening. We don't get that. Unfortunately, they just kind of move on. So he becomes a social pariah because of the people. Everyone has dreams now of him hurting them, so they obviously get scared of him. Now, this point, I think they try to, again, they kind of pivot a little bit to like, let's make this a social commentary about cancel culture, right? No, they don't do that either. This story is just kind of weird and uninteresting, up until this part. And then they start giving you these little nuggets. And they're like, look, if you do something wrong and maybe if you're guilty, then maybe the dreams change. Maybe you have that power of control. No, we're not going to go into that any further. You know, Maybe we're going to talk a little bit about cancel culture and kind of, even things you don't do can get you in trouble. Nope, we're not going to do that either. So, and he doesn't even go into like the full cancel culture mode, right? He kind of gets halfway there and then kind of backs away, right? He won't go in full nutcase, but he's kind of and also not willing to go full acceptance of it, right? And so we don't even know kind of why this is happening. We don't get to see him really like lose his mind. He of course has a dream, has like a fake apology thing where it's like, I know how it feels to be affected by you, whatever, or affected by me, I guess. But they kind of just, and all of this kind of leads up to nothing. Like there's a whole bunch of these things, and at the end of the day, they don't even tell us why he's having these dreams. And as fun as like the little breadcrumbs and interesting things they leave, they don't ever explore any of them, right? We don't know what it's like if he became like a full-on meme, right? Like they don't fully delve into that. They don't fully delve into like, the cancel culture and social isolation. They don't fully delve into the why this is happening, right? They kind of yada yada through it by saying something about the collective unconscious is real, and Carl Jung's theory of the collective unconscious was right. And the first use that we see is an advertisement for in putting influencers and advertisers into your dreams. And again, this is something which lasts about 20 seconds. They don't go into this in depth. They don't explore kind of the cool nature of and the ethical problems that could come about from having influencers and advertisers being able to be in your dreams. We don't look at the consent part of that, right? It's all these super explanations would have made this so much like it would have reached another level of just like amazingness, right? But instead they kind of just yada yada through the point to the point where I don't actually remember how it ends. I know he has some like failed book signing, and the book's not even about ants at the end of the day. It's about something else. And I just feel like with this movie, like the bottom line is, it's a good movie, but it would be so much better if they explored some of these side plots instead of just like walking through. It's like you're walking through a hall, right? And there's a bunch of doors that open to all these cool paths, and you just say, no, I'm just gonna go to the end here. I'm gonna leave. Like, why not go explore some of these side routes, right? It's kind of like if you're because I've been playing a lot of Spider-Man on Spider-Man 2, right? It's kind of like if you're playing Spider-Man and it's like no side quests, nothing else, just the main story, and that's it. And you're kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. Like the side quests are so much fun though. You get to explore so many different dimensions of these characters and do so many cool things. But no, we're just gonna do the main story, just get in and out. Like you kind of lose a little bit of the adventure in the world, right? When you kind of just ignore that. And I think that was probably my biggest issue is like the potential this movie had was crazy, and yet they kind of just do here's some general concept and have some fun. And with Ari Aster producing this, I expect a little bit more. I expect a little bit more in the lanes of like creepy and the ethical dilemmas. And I was just really disappointed with that because I was like I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, I want to know where this goes. I want to know what happens next, and I don't get to see that. So, at the end of the day, the story's not awful. Like it's a good movie. It's funny. People are laughing. It was a good time, but it just there's so many more interesting ways you could have pivoted this, and I just don't know why they didn't do that because it would have made it so much better. And also, the other thing I have to note is they kind of make this. They're doing a therapy session, right, with the students of his class who also are having these dreams of him hurting them, right? And so they try to do some therapy to make them feel a little better about how that's a dream and it's real life, and they show a picture of him, and in that picture it looks like he's about to be put on a list for being a predator. Like he does not, like, he kind of looks like a creepy old man, and so I think that kind of makes it even worse, the public perception of him even worse. But overall, again, would I recommend this movie? Sure, I guess. Like, the biggest thing about this movie is, if you want to go again, you turn off your brain, go take a watch it, and you'll probably end up at a point where you'll be like, I want to know more about that, and they don't let you go there, and they don't explore that more. And so I guess maybe that's part of the trade-offs to making a movie like this, is you just have to, like, kind of accept the fact that you're trying to tell a narrative story, and you can't kind of go off on all these tangents. But it is kind of disappointing because I think they're so cool about that. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the movie if you've seen it. If not, go check it out. And if I have to rate it out of 5, I'd probably give it like 2.53. I don't know. I hate doing ratings because they're so, like, binding almost. Like, people are like, oh, you expect me to kind of stick to this. So anyways, thank you all for watching. See you next time. Bye.